Hi, Titans. Thank you for joining us today for another one of our financial literacy series webinars, Consumer Awareness, How to Be a Smart Consumer. My name is Lupe Tinoco Oliveros. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the Programming Graduate Assistant at Tuffy's Basic Needs. And I will be your host and presenter today. I also want to say, I want to preface this presentation by saying that I am not a financial advisor or counselor, and these presentations are meant to be informative and present general advice. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin our presentation today. Oh, okay. Also, actually, before we start, I want to know what you think being a smart consumer is all about. So take a couple seconds if you have some pen and paper near you to ponder upon this question and just think about it, jot it down. You can feel free to pause the video, but I'm just going to go ahead and continue on. You can even drop it into the comments if you feel comfortable doing that. But let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. So, what does it mean to be a smart consumer? Now, these are the points that we'll be diving into today. But one is understanding our decision to buy. So, what motivates us to make financial decisions, right? Sometimes, it could be an impulse buy, and sometimes, especially if it's a high ticket item, we might tend to put a little bit more thought into our purchase. And so, we're going to be talking more about this and how we do that throughout the presentation. Second one is being informed about a product, a good, or a service so that we can make the best choice for ourselves and for our wallets. Third is being aware of scams. Unfortunately, there are many ways that we can be taking advantage of. So, how do we protect ourselves? And what do we do if we end up in a situation like this? And then lastly, knowing how to report an issue or provide feedback. So we've put, when we put a lot of time into reflecting on why we're making a specific purchase, and then we go ahead and research our options, make sure we don't get scammed, right? But something isn't working out the way that you expect it to. So what are we going to do about that? And again, as I reiterated in the beginning, these are the points we'll be talking about throughout the presentation. So one, as I mentioned before, first step is being an informed consumer. So what are we buying, why, and what information do we need to make the best decision? Now I'm going to take you down a little scenario here, and we're going to be using the scenario throughout the presentation. So you're on the market to buy a new laptop because your old one gave out, let's say. You have the option to borrow one from school, but you feel that you want to make the investment into purchasing one for yourself. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You only need the basic functions like Microsoft Word, access to the internet, and for the occasional Netflix binge. You like MacBooks, but the high cost has you considering other options. So, how do you begin the process of purchasing a new laptop and being a smart consumer in the process? So, these are some questions that we can reflect or think about before making a purchase, right? Uh, One, do I want or do I need this item? So in this scenario, it's very much a need because our old one gave out and we need a new one for school. But in the case that it was a want, right? I think the next two questions can help further reflect on why we're making this purchase. One, what is the real cost? So besides the price tag, right? Is it within our means? Are we buying this item? When we buy this item, will it hinder our ability to make a bill payment? For example, if it isn't within our budget, right? Do we feel ready to use a credit card or some type of loan or borrowing? If not, then what are other options? In this scenario specifically, we're going to say that we're ready to use and build our credit. This means that we've looked up videos or we seeked up information online to understand what borrowing and what taking out credit means. Um, we're ready to make consistent monthly payments going forward so that we're able to pay off our laptop. And, we know all the terminology of what it means to take out a credit. So we're informed on that and we know that we're ready to make that choice if need be. Uh, Another question that we can ask is, what will I gain from buying this item? So, does it spark joy or improve my quality of life? Or am I purchasing this because my friend has one and they love it, right? It'd be, I think, a disservice to say that our social circles and status can have a high influence into why we buy certain products. So, this question can help us get to the bottom of that. And the next one is, what shopping tools can I use? Right? I'm going to go off and assume here that most, if not all of you, are consumers or have been consumers at one point. You've picked up, and through all that, you've picked up tools or skills that have helped you make purchasing decisions. For example, right? Trying to find out what information or additional information you need to buy a product, comparing different prices and items, or using coupon sales or discounts, right? So use your past experiences and past observations of what and what not to do, right? You can use all of that to help you make the right choice. I want to take a second to talk about this shopping strategy. It's called comparative shopping, or just, it's a very common strategy of weighing the pros and cons of items that are similar. So I'm going to go down and explain a couple. Price, that one seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Comparing different prices, which one's more affordable, which one is more pricey. Features and benefits, if you're buying, let's say, if you're buying shoes, right? And one comes with unlimited shoelaces for life and the other one doesn't, right? You're probably gonna, that kind of balances or tips the scales um, in terms of what product you're gonna decide to buy. Sales, right? Should I wait until there is a sale on an item that I want? Are there coupons or discounts that I can apply, right? For laptops, usually Black Friday is a great time to buy electronics, but can I wait till Black Friday or not, right? These are questions that you might want to ask when making your choices. Alternatives, are there items like this that maybe are not name brand but get the job done just as well? And how important is that for me? Reviews. So what are people saying about the item? Do I know somebody who owns it and can ask them about their experience? And if not, what are people saying on YouTube? I think there's a YouTube comparison reviews for almost any item out there. So, what are people saying? Warranties and guarantees. So, is there a warranty or a guarantee on this item? And now I know this isn't like the most fancy or the most, appealing thing that we go to first when determining what to buy, but this should be something to consider, especially when buying higher ticket items like a laptop, right? Not so much with shoes, but with pricier items. So warranties in general are a seller's promise to stand behind the product, and by law, whoever is selling it to you must also provide you access to the information on what their warranties or guarantees are before you make a purchase. So, also, if a salesperson makes a promise verbally, make sure that you get that in writing before you make that purchase. And some things that you might want to ask about warranties or guarantees is, one, of course, what's the warranty? Two, how long does that warranty last? Three, who can I contact? And four, what will a company do if the uh, I'm sorry. Four is what parts are covered and what parts are not. So you want to be informed upon those questions, if anything. And lastly, store policies. So each store has different policies depending on the products that they sell. The most common include policies on their returns, on their refunds, and on their exchanges. So if you're buying online, sometimes that can include policies for shipping, like what costs are covered and what are not. So it's also important to be to ask your cashier or your sales rep, what are some options, your options for returns, refunds, or exchanges. All right, so we're going to jump back to our scenario and we're going to go through an example of comparative shopping. Now, I tried to make this as accurate as possible, but I have not used an Apple product since my iPod Touch back in 8th grade. So for the next couple of minutes, while I go through this run through scenario, just bear with me, please. Um, but all right, so if you remember, we are into MacBooks, but we are staying open to exploring other options because, we might have to put this on credit and we want to be cautious about how much debt we take on. So these are some of the most important aspects for us at this moment in order to kind of weigh the pros and cons, right? It includes price, warranty, features, and reviews. So in terms of price, right, MacBooks are generally more expensive than Windows products, which is one of the reasons why we're comparing this, or we're doing this comparison, right? But what other things are there to consider? So another one is features. I think that's a very important one, especially when comparing these two products, right? MacBooks usually last a long time. They're user friendly. They have more built-in protection against viruses, whereas with a Windows, I might have to make a purchase, like an antivirus protection purchase. And also, it has cool aesthetics, right? They're sleek and they're very nice looking. Now with Windows, one of the things with that is that there's a high variety and capability with with the products, right? In terms of like memory and storage and things like that. There's a broad range of options that really determine that price tag. And also, generally meaning Windows products are highly used around the world. The system is basically the same if you buy like a Dell or an HP. It kind of stays the same. With warranties, well, with Macs, you're guaranteed up to a year of purchase that you can take it into the store and fix it if something happens. And I also think that it's important for us to uh, I guess our peace of mind to know that if we do end up taking it to the store, the people that are going to be working on our product are Apple experts. Whereas it might not be similar with Windows. It really does vary by the brand and by where you bought it. And reviews. We have a close friend who has a Mac for like 4 years now, and they say it's a great product. And we trust their judgment. But let's say for the scenario, right? We really don't know many people with a Windows product, and so we're kind of relying on YouTube reviews of what people have said. So here I presented just a very general example. If you were doing this in, for real, you'd have a lot more details that are more important to you and pertinent. Um, but for the sake of this example, this is what we came down with. So we did our chart and we decided that we're gonna go with a MacBook after all. I'm sorry to disappoint those folks who were rooting for Windows. But I think it was, I think in the end it was our friend's raving review that finally sealed the deal. Uh, so we decided and we're ready to make our purchase, but how are we going to pay for it, right? In our scenario, we talked about being informed and ready on using credit. Sometimes when you are ready for that or not, you will find wording like this that you see on the left-hand side when you're up at checkout, whether it be by a cashier or whether it be online. So some things to consider some things to consider when considering credit is that these phrases are meant to be right convincing to get you to borrow money. Um, so, but at the end of the day, you will be borrowing money that you will have to repay over time. So it's important to acknowledge and know that. Also, understanding the terms and conditions. Now, I know it's easy to just scroll to the bottom of whatever page you're looking at and click agree, but you want to understand what you're agreeing to. So, what happens after those 12 months pass and you haven't paid in full? will interest be accumulating throughout those 12 months so that you actually end up paying way more than what you planned? Right? These are important questions that you want to know. If you want to learn more about credit, which I talk about a bit here in this presentation, right? I suggest you check out Understanding Credit webinar. You can find that over on our website and our YouTube channel. And you can reference those anytime. So, all right. So as a college student also, right, we're always looking for the best deals. But how do we avoid being scammed? And what do we do if we do find ourselves in a situation like that? So here are some things to look out for. One, don't share numbers or passwords for accounts, credit cards, or social security. I think that one is a very important one. Also, never pay upfront for a promised price. It's a scam if you are told that you have to pay fees or taxes to receive a price or service. Also, after hearing a sales pitch, take time to compare prices, right? We just went through a lengthy example of comparing prices. You want to be able to do that before you end up purchasing something. Ask for information in writing if possible and read through it carefully. Another one is, does it sound too good to be true? Ask yourself why somebody might be trying so hard to give you such a great deal. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Also, watch out for deals that are only good today and that pressure you to act fast, right? Because they're either like limited stock or limited time offer only. When you face those situations, pause and walk away from those sales tactics. That'll allow you to read through paperwork or get more information about a certain product. You want to make sure that you know what you're signing on or what you're purchasing. And also, you have the option to put your number on the National Do Not Call Registry. So this registry gives you a choice about whether to receive telemarketing calls or not. It's completely free. If you go to that website, www.donotcall.gov, make sure it's the .gov website, and you have the option to put your name or your number down there and report any unwanted calls from telemarketers. So, what if you find yourself in a situation where you begin to notice money missing from your account or you see purchases that you haven't made? So, the first step, number one, is to contact your bank or credit union immediately and let them know what's happening. It's helpful to have your bank's fraud protection number saved onto your phone, or if you use a banking app, knowing where to locate those numbers in case those do happen. Some apps also offer the option to alert you in case there are some suspicious activity going on in your account. So there's a lot of scams out there, and there's a lot of ways to report them and kind of take action that I don't have the time to discuss further in detail here. But the link in the bottom that you see there is a great resource to help you address all types of scenarios and kind of give you step by step on what to do. And as I said, you can always reference this PowerPoint back on our YouTube channel. All right, so the last piece of being a smart consumer is bringing up concerns or providing feedback if something isn't up to your expectations. Now, you want to make sure that you do this, right? Because you want to get your money's worth. Because we did all the research, we avoided the scams, we became informed on using credit, right? And let's say in our little scenario, right, it's been 8 months and you've noticed that it has started to glitching and to shut off unexpectedly. So in that scenario, what do you do? One is to collect records, right? Keep copies of your sales receipts, your warranties, or any other paperwork that you are given when you make your purchase. Step two is to identify the problem. So there are 3 main questions that you want to generally know to when you're reporting an issue. One is, what is it you're unsatisfied with, right? Two is, what's the history, if any? Um, Talk about anything that you've done, anything that you've tried to do, or, if you're taking it somewhere, make sure that you have all that history down. And three, what are you seeking to get out of it, right? Maybe the space key is too sensitive and you just don't enjoy that, but you just thought you just wanted to let somebody know, and see if there's an easy way to address that, right? Or in the case of our scenario where it's a little bit more serious, are you seeking a refund, or an exchange or a repair on this product? So you want to know, again, what is it that you're unsatisfied with? What's the history, if any? And what are you seeking to get out of it? Now, after that, you can go back to where you made your purchase, right? Calmly and accurately explain the problem and what action you would like to take. Also, allow people to give you time to resolve, or allow people time to resolve the issue, before contacting another person. It's also okay to ask them for a timeline of, when you will get your issue resolved. Just make sure that you're communicating in a respectful and calm manner, and also keep a record, of your efforts here. Right, you always want to keep a record in case something doesn't work out. You have some evidence to kind of detail the history of what you've done. And lastly, don't give up. If they're not able to resolve your issue effectively at the store, call the people responsible for consumer complaints, if they have a company headquarters, or see if they are able, and see if they're able to help you resolve your issue. Also, here is a link, to file a complaint against a company about a purchase. Um, there are federal laws and processes that protect consumers, in scenarios such as this. So I'm not going to go into the details about that one either because there's a lot of information. But if you want to learn more, feel free to check out that website. And so that is all, folks. I think the last thing I want to say before we close out is that we ran through a scenario here on buying a laptop, right? But all the things that we discussed, whether that be being informed, right, doing your research on a certain product, identifying and avoiding scams, and knowing, how to address them in case you do find yourself in one, and reporting an issue, all of these three things can be applied to other areas of your life as well, whether it be with buying a car or a flat screen TV, or like if you're looking for an apartment, right? I think those underlying skills are all transferables, whenever you are seeking to invest in something, or put your money into something, or request a service as well. So I hope that you found this webinar informational. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Tuffy's Basic Needs to learn more about our services. And thank you for checking out our webinar. It's been a great audience, and enjoy the rest of your day.